we started looking at it together, didn't we? And Denise's class was the class that we started it with, and we decided to just start with one class first of all to trial it, to iron out any sort of
and
issues
just do it slowly.
Yeah. And so we sort of did it from the January to the Easter with your class, didn't we?
We did, and rather than being extra work, we actually lost our ICT teaching for that week, and we gave that up to Fronter.
To really kind of hammer it home with the kids, really, and trying to get them involved in it. And also we had a parent meeting to explain what it was and to try and hype up the importance of them being the trial sort of thing.
Yeah, and quite a few parents are concerned that it's going to be another issue of children sat in front of a TV screen for another half an hour. So it was a case of saying it's not about that, it can be a 2-minute dip in and out. They don't have to sit there for that length of time.
And so really then what we did with it was Denise basically the first couple of weeks would always have like a little question or something on Fronter every night, so she'd go and log on and see if they could answer it. So it might have been a question like, I don't know.
They didn't have to input anything, they had to read what colour are my nails today. And
the first person to come in and
tell you the
answers and got rewards.
Came in, got house points for it.
And then basically a week at a time we'd put a task on there, wouldn't we? So we started to very slowly build up the use of a vote or a forum or whatever.
We did the vote after, and then we went on to doing what I call a Gertie gossip. Every morning we have a speaking and listening session, which the children don't realise I'm assessing them all the time, but we call it a Gertie gossip, and they thoroughly enjoyed that. And I certainly found that was beneficial to the quieter children, who maybe don't give a hand up and get the Gertie gossip. They'd go on and say, this weekend I had 2 teeth pulled out. And I maybe wouldn't have found that out in any other way. So I found that one. And that's carried on as I used that one all the time. It's quite a good one, isn't it? And so slowly but surely you just built it up like that, didn't it? Using it and dripping it. And then, of course, come Easter, we did a questionnaire to the parents just to see what they found. Was there any issues that they found that we could help, because we rolled it out to everybody else. And then we started that off with everybody else. And that was fine, wasn't it? The feedback after doing it, parents weren't as wary.
A few members of staff, because of that, thought, well, actually, I can put stuff on there that is useful for my children. Particularly, I know one teacher, year 1 teacher, who were doing the topic bear hunt. We're going on a bear hunt. So if you'd found Alan Rosen, I think that's his name, isn't it? Actually telling the story, so put that on the class page. So there was the words and the video that went with it. So the children had all that information before the actual topic started, so they were familiar with it. So actually they were all sort of, they hit the ground as it were running.
The 2 girls had gone beyond equivalent fractions, so I'd taken them on to what top heavy fractions were. At the end I said, we're going to talk tomorrow about this. So 4/3. What actually does that mean? It means 1 1/3. There's a game in front to go and have a look, then you'd know what we're talking about for tomorrow. So they did, they went and had a look. Next day, right, we know what we're doing this worksheet already. Off they went, sorted.
And how say using it in reception, we've used a lot more like the Mother's Day messages and things like that. And we're doing, now we've got the chicks in, we're going to do a photo story, 3 diary, so things like that, so they can still do it. And also we do have fronter games usually from the iBoard that we link to the numeracy definitely that we're doing in homework time, and then they tend to go on that, and certainly the phonics as well. So there's
other times
something
in
you
the
can
day,
find for other things, regardless of the level of the children really. Obviously with the younger ones they just need the access to the support to access it and things like that.
With the year 4s I had last year and the year 4s I've got this year, it's really kicked off that I use it as a teaching tool. Rather than putting something on my smartboard, notebook, it's there, we flick onto it, and then it's the same thing they're looking at when they go home, it reinforces that.
We did have that issue, didn't we, where you'd send somebody home because they were ill, and Mum wanted to know what they were missing, so she said, well, just go and have a look at Fronter because it's that activity's on there. So that was a parent who actually really was very keen to always follow things up at home anyway, so it gave her the perfect platform to do that, didn't it?
I think it's opened up that whole sort of dialogue with between staff and children, that they can say, oh, well, we could put that on, or you could put that on Fronter, or we could put it on Fronter, oh, let's put it on Fronter, and I think that's great, isn't it, because it's become part of the vocabulary within the school, and I mean, you can't ask for any more than that in terms of...
They're all really keen on that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think, I think it's been a really good thing for us, because I think to start with we perhaps thought, not something else, but I think it's taken over from the website in a sense of it being kept current. The website now stays much more standalone, is a brochure for the school in that outer wider community, and that sort of day-to-day, week-to-week updating and communicating with people is done by Fronto. The children said, well, actually, we'd like to take charge of this because the subject areas had sort of stayed a bit stagnant because staff have other things to do this way. So maybe the children could take those subject areas forward. Okay, so, which is what we sort of thought about. But then there was the issues that the children thought, don't like that. And member of staff said, well, actually, that needs to be there. That's what we're doing. Well, that's then where we moved into having the subject areas, as you know now, covered by children and by staff, so the children can have the children's eyes perspective of it, and then the staff put in there the necessary curriculum stuff. So you sort of cover both areas.
I find it really helpful for my daughter's homework, and mainly that I knew what was going on in school so I could help her with her homework and topics that she was covering, and for the homework resources, so I didn't have to look around for them. My daughter could have access to them straight away when she got home. And also the teaching of Fronto in classrooms was really good, so that meant, again, the onus went on the parent to do all that at home, which was good. Love it. Love it because it's safer for her to chat to her friends on Fronto as opposed to some of the other social network sites, which obviously makes her feel more comfortable. And other ideas, sharing other ideas with her classmates as well. Homework, she would share ideas and communicate with them and say, oh, I didn't understand that today, what were they doing? She could then say to her friends on Fronto, oh, well, this is how you do it and that's how you do it. So that was another good way of communication.
Parents also gave feedback about how it was quite nice to see, you know, that they were doing some of the homework tasks on there and they could see what they were doing. It just gave the children a different slant, and there's some of those that find it were struggling more with the writing side of things, then, you know, accessed it in that.
And then getting the marking comments as well, the parents said that, because sometimes they don't see if it's been on a worksheet or this, that and the other, it's been filed away. They don't actually get that back again. Whereas you've written, oh, that's a nice piece of work, please remember, capital letters and full stop, mum can go, oh, that's obviously something she wants us to keep an eye on. So they're getting feedback as well as the children. And we've got a few children who don't have access to the internet. We've got 3 in this class who struggle at the moment, but we have an after-school club, a drop-in centre, on a Tuesday, so they tend to come then. If it's a homework task or it's something they want to access, or there's a 11:30 reading slot every day in school, and they can go on the class computers if there's something they want to follow through then. So I don't think they feel any way.
I don't think so. That was the parent thing, wasn't it, about computer time? Because I know that some of the families that we started off with, they've got quite big families, and of course we've got others at secondary school who there's all this argy-bargy, who's going to get access to the computer and things. So there was also that. But we just had a fluid sort of drop-in time. So if there's one week where you're struggling, then you come in, you don't have to, you know.
And I always send a homework book home, and it says, if your computer crashes, if you can't get to the computer this week, write it down instead. It's absolutely fine. Or send me a message and let me know. It's much easier to, I mean, mine started doing homework over the holidays. They had to write a piece on Anglo-Saxons. They could either do it in Word and upload it, or they could create it as a document. So I got 7 in over the holidays, so they're marked and done. I didn't get 20 all at once. So once you've got something like that in place, it's so much easier for you as well as advantageous to the children. It's getting new members of staff to see that and not churn a worksheet out. And staff initially were, oh gosh,
a bit extra time and effort and work. And it is like that to start with, isn't it? Because it's getting your head around it.
Yes, and it is that. If you've not visited for a couple of weeks, in those early days, you are thinking, oh, how did they do that again?
Yeah, it's refreshing,
because it is so different from any other programme. But I would say within a couple of months,
isn't it?
It is just so quick and easy to do, it really is.
It can be time consuming, but it doesn't need to be. And I think that's
the rewards outdo the time consuming, don't
yes, they? I think so too. You can do your planning, you can put your resources there, and they're all in one place. You don't have to have made a list of, oh, I've used this website, I've used that, I've used this resource or whatever. You've got it all in one place, and then when you come to actually deliver it, it's there, and you've not got to search around for it. So in that sense, I think it's a time saving, isn't it?
Yeah,
and then, you know, in the next year or the next 2 years, you're going to deliver that again. You just need to retweak it a little bit and then make it more current, and then it's still all there, isn't it? Plus the fact that obviously we have the possibility of sharing rooms within the counties.
But you also get messages saying, I'm a little bit concerned about playtime. So-and-so has said this. I haven't managed my homework this week, but I'll get it in for Friday if I can. So as much as the learning side, I think the social side is crucial.
And it's another channel, communication channel, you know, for those children who might not have the front to come up and
and actually say things to. Although, I mean, one little girl sent me a sticky during the holidays, the visual mail, saying that she'd set off to Col, and they didn't get there, and the car broke down, and this paragraph in where she was just venting it out. And then it finished by saying, I'll see you on Tuesday. How nice that she could do that. Because it was immediate. You know, when we came back on the Tuesday, we're having a Gertie gossip.
It's gone, isn't it?
You know, I had to go, oh dear, never mind. And I didn't have to. But you can choose whether you want to reply. If I'm online, I reply.
That was another issue with teachers, actually, wasn't it, when we first started out, about you know, how much time you'd have to spend, and also when children were messaging you, whether you had to message them straight back, or whether, you know, they could give it a couple of days. And we just used to say, well, look, if you're on there and you want to, that's fine, but
and children have got to learn that.
You know, that's it. Then also don't feel you have to, because otherwise you'll be at the beck and call. And all the rest.
We haven't made it a school rule that you cannot reply after 6, or things like that. If you're that sort of person, you want to do it. And as long as you let the children know, they know exactly, and they don't expect. I mean, mine tend to expect to reply at some stage, because I'm normally sat there doing something anyway. So they sit and wait, thinking it's going to come, and it generally does. But some teachers don't. They leave it to the following morning, and as long as you've told your class, that's fine.
They'll get back to you whenever, but you know, there's no immediate sort of pressure.
I'm going to a new year group next year, and I think they need more access to it, and I really want to get them up and running. They're slightly younger.
I think, more consistency in use across year groups, I think, and also to do more with the children's profiles, the e-profiles. I think we don't put enough in them of their own work. I think that's something we need to
I've got folders full of children's work, but I haven't done much with them. And I'm not sure what to do with them either.
I think we need to, maybe that's going to be our aim next year, to work more on that, I think.